called to order. This board was established pursuant to section 519.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by the Anderson Township trustees to provide administrative relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Here.
Mr. Sion?
Here.
Mr. Halpin?
Present.
Mr. Shekels?
Here.
Mr. Nye?
Here. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is audio and videotaped and may be carried live on television. Let me take a moment and outline our procedures. A summary of the appeal will be presented by our staff. Then the appellant will be able to present its case. The board members may then ask questions to the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify one at a time after being recognized by the chair. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed will be then permitted to testify. Looks like we have quite a crowd here for that. Okay, all persons wishing to testify, including the appellants, whether for and against an appeal, may also do so after being sworn in. So I'm going to ask you, those in the audience, will all persons who may give testimony this evening please stand, raise your right hand, and swear or affirm, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you. Let's see, let's go beyond that. So regarding tonight's agenda, has everybody received the revised agenda regarding case 21 being continued to next month? 21. Any objections to approval? Then let's approve via unanimous consent. Next item is approval of minutes from October 5th, 2023. Any revisions, comments, or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes have been approved from October 5th. Then we're going down to item number 4, which is consideration of case 22, 2023, a variance for a request of a 6-foot tall privacy fence at 8552 Batavia Road, and I would request that staff provide their summary.
Thank you, Board. Mackenzie Stewart will be presenting this case.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
No problem. All right, so this is case 22-2023. The applicant is Lisa Bird, who's the property owner. Location is 8552 Batavia Road. It's classified as AA residence, and the request is for a 6-foot high privacy fence in the side and front yards located at the property, where only fences in the rear yard are permitted per the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The applicant proposes to construct the 6-foot tall privacy fence in the side yard. It's going to be 118 feet in length and a slight curve to the north. Some history about the property: it was built in 1979, and it was bought by the current owner in 2018. The applicant states that during renovation of the house next door, the previous owner of 8566 Batavia Road cleared a portion of the applicant's property to the east without the owner's consent. This is a property map of the property. It's listed as AA residence, and the properties surrounding the property are also as AA residence. This is an aerial view. It's, as you can see, a heavily wooded area surrounding the property. This is a topography map. You can see the slight curve to the east for the incline by the property 8566. And then here are some pictures of the property showing the vegetation to the east of the property where the fence would be proposed to go. This is a view of the neighboring property 8566 from the owner's current residence. This is where the portion of the property was cleared by the previous owner. More pictures of that. And then the next couple slides are what the applicant submitted to staff. Staff is of the opinion that the variance would not be substantial. Privacy fencing is only permitted in the rear yards, where this would be in the side and front yards of the property. If the owner of 8566 at Batavia Road, however, were to apply for a zoning certificate, it would be approved since it's in the rear yard of that property, and a variance would not be required. Other methods could be used to not have the variance, such as having 8566 apply for a permit and or possibly adding additional screening in the cleared vegetation area.
Do we know how far the fence is from the road? I don't remember seeing a dimension of that.
It is approximately 359 feet from Batavia Road.
Pretty far.
Any other questions for staff? Would the appellant please come? Ms. Bird,
Yes.
would you please state your name and your address and then present anything you would like us to understand?
So my name is Lisa Bird. I live at 8552 Batavia Road, 45244. I have lived there since 1987. The person who lived above me was a much older woman who left pre-COVID and never returned. So the house sat empty for years. The daughter did nothing to do with it, nothing to maintain it. They sold it for a quick sale so they could put her in a nursing home. I did approach the gentleman who was doing the remodeling and asked him if he was going to rent or sell. Because apparently the new owner, once he saw that the renovations had started, he came down and talked to him about purchasing before he was ever done. He asked me if he could clear where you saw that tree stump to that tree stump, which is coming in from the front, taking down a pine, which was dying, and then to that tree stump, which was dead. It was an ash. He deliberately waited until I wasn't home and went all the way back. There were trees in there that were over 100 feet tall. When you walk to the back of the property line, right abutting my property line is a 10-foot stack of dead trees. I can now hear him on his cell phone next door. And also, it's when my dog barks, everybody, him and the house above is getting my dog. Because it was not just visibility, it was sound. So I talked to him about applying for a variance, and he would not do it, but he was supporting the fence.
That's the letter that we received.
Yes. He sold before, the gentleman who remodeled, he had told me he would clear to the ash, and then he would chip that. And he did neither. But to be honest with you, I was so angry. I did not even approach him. There was no point in it.
Do you know where the property line is relative to the pictures
Yes.
that we saw. Can
So you will see an incline next to his house. There. See the incline?
You mean the bank?
The little bank?
Yeah.
At the bottom of the bank is my property line.
Are they there where they are?
So over there, all the way against, at the very bottom. No, over? Yeah, over there. So I went up and walked with him and told him, if he'll cut it, I'm not going to put it up against his property line there. I think it's an angle, it's terrible. I told him I would go to the top and move out 2 to 3 feet, and then he said he would cut it. Because otherwise, if I go the property line, I'm taking that whole side yard of his.
Okay, so can you describe where you believe the fence is going in
The
this?
back corner of that house, where the deck is
Yeah.
almost directly across from my ash tree. That's the ash tree they took down,
Okay,
okay?
is that the start of your fence?
That's the start of the fence.
And it goes back?
It goes back, and if you see the white in the corner over there, that is my garage. It is going to come, and if you look straight back, you see the huge tree that's kind of in the middle? Keep going back, right there. That tree is like this big around. It's going to stop right in front of that tree, which is at the front corner of my garage.
So you're going from the stump,
About the stump, but you're going to move up a little bit because I don't want it
Right.
right on where it's going to wash.
right?
Plus, I figure I can plant this, but you've seen the summers we've had. I can't even grow grass right now. So if we take it from that stump and kind of move out a little bit and angle back to the northwest, you're going to run into that tree.
Okay.
I'm not going past that tree because I want the deer cut through here from my yard to his yard, then they walk back. And if you see in the very back, see where the green tree's in the back? Right there, move over. See that? That's the debris. Those piles, it runs all the way across, all the way to my property line of dead trees.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, any other questions?
No.
Anything else you'd like to add?
If he would apply, it would be acceptable. It's just where my house is plotted according to his.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I don't believe there's going to be anybody here to speak in favor or against the variance request. Before we close the public testimony of this, is there anything else that we would like to discuss?
One other question, do you have a survey of that line, or is that sort of your best?
The property markers are still up.
Yeah.
It was most recently surveyed when they sold the house.
Okay.
And I asked them to leave the property markers there.
All righty, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
I move that we close the public hearing on case 22.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second to close the public testimony. Any other discussion? Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Shekels?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Who'd like to get us started on case 22?
I have no objection to granting the variance.
Same here.
Same. It's not a substantial variance in the context of the neighborhood because of where the neighboring house is. Won't affect the character of the neighborhood, won't affect the delivery of governmental services and so on. I think on balance, the factors weigh overwhelmingly in favor of granting the variance.
I agree.
I agree too. Anyone would like to entertain a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we grant the variance for case 22-23, citing the staff report as the evidence. I'd like to put 2 conditions: that it start within 1 year, complete within 2.
I'll second the motion.
May I add that the construction be done in substantial compliance with the plans dated, received on October 2nd?
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second? We've got a motion and a second to approve the variance request. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Hayward,
Aye?
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin. Aye. Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Knight.
Aye.
Before we proceed to
Hold
the
on. When will,
As soon as possible. I don't know about tomorrow, but maybe early next week.
early next
I
week?
can reach
the
out to you.
paperwork will be available for you to pick up?
Okay.
Okay.
They asked that I email them tonight, the fence company, and let them know because they're coming this month.
Okay.
Perfect.
Fine.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Prior to
Okay.
the next case, I'd like to recuse myself. I am an adjoining property owner, so I will just go.
All right. Then we're on to.
Mr.
case-
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes,
have
sir.
just one moment?
Yes?
You want to swear me in? So I can testify if I want to.
Are you going to?
I'm not sure, but I might as well swear
Do
in.
you swear to tell the, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, going on to case number 23. Would staff please present its summary?
Thank you, Board. Case 23, 2023, the applicant is Native Roots Landscaping on behalf of Ralph Blackwelder, the property owner. The address is, there's two parcels. The address is 6898 Hunley, and the other parcel does not have an address, but the parcel number is 500-0360-0287. Both of these are zoned as A2 residents. So there's three requests tonight, a variance, a special use certificate, and a conditional use. The variance request is for agricultural structures to be within a 100-foot setback of any residential district. The special use certificate for a parking lot expansion in a residential district, and a conditional use for a greenhouse on these properties as well, for growing food, vegetables, herbs, and perennials. Excuse me. So the applicant is proposing a parking lot expansion, 2 greenhouses for growing food, and several new facilities, including a new pole barn and a lean-to structure, as well as what's being called bulk bins, essentially storage for mulch and gravel and dirt and things like that. And then also to create a parking area of 16 spaces. Also, there's a proposal for a future cross-access points to the west on the properties along Clough Pike, which is also consistent with our adopted Clough Pike corridor study. The history of these parcels, both were purchased by Mr. Ralph Blackwelder in 1980. Staff did not find any zoning permits or zoning violations with these properties. And also, I think we need to state that these properties are landlocked, so there's no frontage on any road. Native Roots started operation in February of 2019, and is currently located at the James Clark Homestead, which is leased through Anderson Township. Anderson Township Board of Trustees own their current location, where they're now open. In 2023, Native Roots approached Mr. Blackwelder, asked for permission to expand on his properties that border Native Roots now through a lease agreement. The terms of this lease are for 1 year, but this could change depending on the outcome of the decisions tonight. So, two properties in question are, in fact, this one right here, if you can see on the screen, and that property to the west, these two parcels. You can see they're landlocked. This is separate parcel from these two properties. This would be the Clough Corridor Business District right here. Here is the current location of Native Roots, and this is Anderson Township Fire Station, I believe 101. Is an aerial of the properties in the location. And this is the topography of the two sites. Once again, these are the two sites. You can see the property on the east is very heavily sloped from this direction going up. These are some photos that staff took of the property. This is standing essentially at the edge of where Native Roots is now, looking onto the Black Welder property. To the west here is the Clough Pike Business District. This is looking back at the current location of Native Roots. These documents are part of the application that was given to staff through by Native Roots. This is a site plan that was provided by Native Roots of their proposal for the property. As you can see, they do indicate a cross access right here, potential then an additional cross access from the shared parking here at the fire station into this area where the parking lot would be. This location is the pole barn. These would be the
Lean-to?
the bins, I believe is what we call them. Yeah. The lean-to. Sorry, this is kind of hard to see. The lean-to would be right here.
Yep.
And then this would be 2 greenhouses here, and then this would be the parking lot, proposed parking lot. And this is right here. This is the current location of Native Roots and their operations.
Before we go on to staff's findings, can you show us an aerial again? Yeah, so I'm trying to remember, I was just over there today, and I'm trying to remember what the other buildings along Clough are. Do you know?
I believe this, you might, well,
That's Appearance Plus right there.
this is Appearance Plus, and then this other, this is, I think,
House and that old mower shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
so the applicant is requesting a variance to allow agricultural structures within the required 100-foot setback from all property lines. To authorize by the grant of a special zoning certificate after public hearing, the Board of Zoning Appeals shall make a finding that the proposed special use certificate for new parking lot is appropriate in the location proposed. These findings shall be based upon general considerations set forth in Article 2.12D8. In addition, the applicant is proposing a conditional use to allow 2 greenhouses on the property in a AA zone residential district. Staff believes that the variance could be substantial. The proposed agricultural structures are shown to be within 100-foot setback from every property line. While the proposed agricultural structures will be closer than 100 feet, the proposal shows a setback of 15 feet to the west, 10 to the north, 65 to the south, and 4 to the east, which could extend the setback of over 100 feet if the 2 lots were consolidated into one parcel. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered, and surrounding properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of variance. This property is significantly screened as it is now. Steep topography to the east blocks any sight from adjacent properties, and then the existing screening of vegetation near the businesses are there as well. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of government services. property owner's predicament could not be feasibly obviated through some other method other than a variance. The two properties, even combined, would not be able to provide at least a 100-foot setback for all the agricultural structures. Native Root's current location does not allow for an expansion of business operations and could force a relocation or an off-site location if the business were to grow in size and operations. While the proposed expansion sites are zoned as residential, there would be incidental effects to any surrounding residents because of the location of the land and the topography of the sites from the residences. Staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement will be observed. Though the property is zoned for residential because of the configuration of the land and that it is landlocked, this property provides very minimal use. The expansion of Native Roots onto these two parcels would allow the business to stay at the current location while minimizing the effects to surrounding businesses and residences. And these are, okay, so this is for the special zoning certificate. I lost my track here, sorry. Oh, this is for the parking lot. So the proposed use and development does not comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution and with the district purposes because these properties are zoned A2 residential. But because of the location, topography, and the layout of the parcels in question, staff believes that the addition of a parking lot would not affect the spirit and intent of the residential zone. Additionally, these sites are landlocked with the closest road access located in the retail district zone. The parking lot area would not have an adverse effect upon adjacent property or health or the public health, safety, and general welfare of the public, since many of the surrounding land uses include retail and governmental services, fire station, with single-family residences to the east. The residences to the east will be shielded by the existing vegetative screen consisting of mature trees on site and steep topography. Additionally, though the parking lot does encroach over the middle property line of two parcels, a recorded easement is proposed in case the properties were to be sold and not consolidated. The proposed parking lot and site improvements will respect natural and scenic and historic features of significant public interest. Additionally, these plans are consistent with Anderson Township's comprehensive plan, more specifically the economic vitality and land use development. As stated, the township should attract a variety of businesses to meet the changing demographics and market demands with a focus on an expanded tax base and an increasing amount of land developed for a mixture of non-residential uses. This will attract new businesses and promote and retain existing businesses. Anderson Township will be a well-planned community with a mixture of agricultural uses, residential neighborhoods, commercial centers, and industrial base balanced public uses, parks, and recreational uses. Now on to the conditional use findings. The proposed use and development does comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution in the district and with district purposes because of the properties are zoned A2 residential, and greenhouses are allowed in this zoning district as a conditional use. The new greenhouses would not have an adverse effect upon adjacent properties or the general welfare, safety, and general welfare of the public, since many of the surrounding land uses include retail and governmental services with single-family residents to the east. The proposed greenhouses would respect natural, scenic, and historic features of significant public interest, and it is also consistent with adopted township plans. And these are 3 recommendations. These are the standards to be considered. That's the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Questions? All right, would the appellant please come forward, state your name, address, affiliation?
Absolutely.
And your presentation, please.
and excuse me because I've lost my voice recently, so it might be hard to understand. My name's Ben Necessary. I'm the owner of Native Roots. My living address is 6265 on Dawes Lane in Mount Washington, 45230. The address that the business is at is 6840 Clough Pike, amongst many other different addresses that our utilities show up in, other things of that nature. So there's that. Do you want me to speak anything else regarding this?
What would you like, is there anything additional that you would like?
Sure.
That hasn't been covered already.
Sure. So just to give you just a little background of this property in particular as a piece of property, prior to us even taking over the lease at the James Clark property that Anderson owns. The former tenant of that of Greenfield Plant Farm is a friend of mine, and he's the one who mentioned these pieces of property to me. So we looked at them for possibility to expand the landscape business into that piece, which would then give us an opportunity to use the charm of the current facility that we're on in a different manner. So things kind of fell into place, and we talked to that property owner, and he was okay with exploring the possibility of doing something different with it. Talking to appraisers and people in real estate that I know, we came to find that the piece of land has a lot of challenges to it. So we looked at, what's the most we can do with this land in the current state that it is without owning other pieces of parcels that'll give us access to the property from a road. So it seemed for the best use for us for right now is to be able to take our landscape facility, which is currently about 20 to 25 employees throughout the year, pending the season, and moving them off the current property back into the back of this property, which would then allow us to use that property, the James Clark property, as more of a cafe-style retail garden center that's going to bring, and the way we're looking at it is if we can do this and get more room, we can do the next part. So we went in and we cleared the weeds out of the land. We quickly realized we were dealing with about 200 old tires and lots of trash, and we've hauled 80 yards of various trash off of there and 200 rubber tires, and we've cleared a lot of poison ivy. And we got a good lay of the land, a good feel for the land, the hydrology of the land, and we think best use for what we can do now with it is to put some landscape facilities in the back, keep very simple, clean structures. The bulk bins may or may not exist back there, to be quite honest. It would be more for potting mix for production in the greenhouse. The greenhouses in particular are just small hoop houses. They're not even near the structure that you see on the current property that we're on. These are simple structures for starting veggies, herbs, perennials, and overwintering veggies, herbs, and perennials. Between that parking lot and those greenhouses, there's kind of a big open space there. That big open space, what we're thinking is just to do a very simple, clean garden in there. A lot of that garden, if things fall into place the way that we're thinking, a lot of that garden will come into that cafe style, and we'll be selling those goods as well. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of flexibility to this plan. The part, Chris, that you were talking about, that parcel that's to the right there, to the east, I guess, that's got a lot of topography to it. It's got a lot of mature oaks. It's got some nice persimmon on them. We intend fully to keep that completely wooded. We love trees. That's what I do. That's what I got into. We want to make the property better than it was. So right now we're in trash cleanup mode and exploring what we can do with the property. The Romanellis, who live at 6898 Hunley, which are the next property to the east, are also clients of ours. They're good friends. We love their property as well and maintain it. That big parcel to the right is theirs. We've been speaking with them in depth, as well as John, the owner of Appearance Plus, on what we're doing. And our goal is to maintain the aesthetic, if not obviously increase it. We want it to look better than we left things. That's how we are. But we do want to use the land for a use that's clearly not what it's zoned for, which is why I'm here today. So parking currently, that parking overflow, the big piece with that is we have 20 to 22 parking spaces currently at the fire station. During our business hours, which are our landscape crew starts anywhere between 7 and 7:30, it wraps up around 5. We'll have that lot pretty much full with employees. So it makes it challenging for our retail customers to come in and purchase plants. So that overflow during the day would be exceptional. And as things grow on the other property, whether that's a cafe or more special events, and honestly, we're thinking more of a farm style, like a 50 West, if you all have ever been there. Young kids, let them play. They're not going to be able to run out on Clough. Immerse them in gardens and the history of agriculture down there, feed them good food, and let people have a reasonable time on a really cool piece of property is what our thought is. So that overflow parking would allow us to be able to get more people into that facility. That's pretty much the gist of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? You have the overflow parking as being compacted gravel.
Yes, currently.
Can you tell me where because I think you've got part of this partial drive coming in, so where it stops at that property line, that's going to be gravel, then what are you going to do back in the back? Are you going to gravel that as well?
Currently, it's all gravel. We are looking at estimates just to do asphalt over that gravel, just honestly for cleanliness of everything. So where we park all of our vehicles are to the north of that barn. And it picks up from concrete to gravel at that point. You know, if you're looking at the barn from the fire station, that right side. So currently we're going to do it as gravel, but if budget permits, yes, we'd prefer to do it in asphalt. So there's lots of numbers still coming to the table on this project.
Okay. If you would go to the site plan that's been provided. Okay, so right to the north of the pole barn, there looks like there's a parcel there. And it appears to me that if I'm correct, that parcel is now covered with vehicles.
Is that where the hand is on the cursor?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that is, I don't know, there's like Rustic Roots Hair Salon and a hardwood floor company.
Yeah, but
And then-
back in the back, there's a fenced-in.
Yeah, there's like a fenced-in area with a backhoe or something in
Yeah.
there. I don't know whose that is or what that is, but yeah, that's currently asphalt back there. There is a small little creek that rolls through there between where the pole barn is and that asphalt area.
And then to the right of that, looks like there's another residential.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I don't know if that's Royal Green or not. I don't know where that links in, to be quite honest, but it's very, very steep right there.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Anyone want to speak in support of the variance requests, special use certificates, or conditional uses? Would you please come to the podium, identify yourself?
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Paul Shekels, 6894 Old Chapel. I own 2 parcels, and the one abuts that, okay? And
Which ones are those?
they don't show on that. You'd have to get an extended map. I don't know if you got that available, Chris, or not.
Well, that's just up the hill that you were
Yeah,
talking about.
basically the hill behind ATP is my property.
Okay.
All right. And that runs up and across and then into my house at Old Chapel. Okay. I have no objection at all. I would encourage you to approve that.
You want to speak in opposition?
I don't think so, but thank you.
Gentlemen, anything else before we close the public testimony?
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public testimony on case 23.
Second motion?
We got a motion and a second to close public testimony. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Gentlemen?
I'm in favor of granting these. I think it certainly fits with the character of the neighborhood. I have a little reservation, and maybe this is why that guy's here. Like, if we grant, Gary, if we grant these variances, are we really effectively changing the zone of these two parcels? That's, I guess, my concern, which we don't have the authority to do. But
No, you don't. We've talked about this. Turn on my microphone. We've talked about this. I mean, obviously, agriculture is something that you can't really regulate. There is obviously agricultural elements to this. There are also business elements as far as landscaping business and such. I had a case out in Westchester a number of years ago, probably in the mid to late 2000s, I guess, that had a very similar use to this. That was, we had a protracted court battle that ended up being resolved instead of decided by the courts. I think this has more growing taking place on it, therefore more agricultural use than that did. For that other, the Westchester facility it was more just a landscape business. They brought in trees, put the bags into the ground a little bit, but they were just basically inventory that would then be moved out. There was no real actual growing of anything on the property. That was suggested to be, agricultural use that was something that the township couldn't prohibit. This has very similar characteristics to it. I'm fine with calling this agriculture. There were other cases across the state where there was a mixed bag. In other words, some said agriculture, some said landscape business. I don't know where the courts in Hamilton County would come out, but I think it's a close enough question that I don't have an issue with this.
Okay. Thank you for that. I mean, I think in light of that, I'd grant the variance, the special use certificate, and the conditional use. The variance, obviously, it is very close to the property line, especially on the north end, where it's a 30-foot structure, 10-foot two from the line. But if you look at what's there and what's in the neighborhood, and it's up against that big old hill, and it's zoned retail to the west, all things considered, I think the variance is less substantial because of those things. The big thing with respect to variances is it going to alter the essential character of the neighborhood? And it's not. It's very consistent with the essential character of the neighborhood. On the special zoning certificate, spirit intent, I think it is consistent with the spirit and intent, especially given that it is at least in part an agricultural use. There's no adverse effect on adjacent properties, no public services affected, consistent with the township's adopted plans, even though this is a residential zone. Skip a page here. And then the conditional use for the greenhouse. Certainly, I think a greenhouse in this location is consistent with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution, won't have any adverse effect, won't affect public services, and again, consistent with the adopted township plans. So I would grant all three, subject to the board's recommended conditions.
Motion? Is that a motion?
Anyone else want to be heard?
I concur.
Mr. Chairman, with respect to case 23, I move that we grant the variance, the special use certificate, and the conditional use subject to staff's recommended.
Second the motion. Do we need to add any timing on completing any construction of any?
We usually do that. I guess we probably should have asked the applicant what their timeline is on this. Is that in the record, Chris?
I don't believe there's a timeline.
Mr. Chair, can we reopen the?
Yes. Please, we're just gonna do this informally.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. So that's a great question. As far as timing, we'd like to go as soon as possible on it. With that said, being a contractor, knowing contractors, my goal would be by the end of next year to have all of this complete. The greenhouses could be as soon as 2 to 3 weeks from now and installed. And as far as roadways and things like that, to get access back to where we want to facilitate some of these buildings and other things, anything I can do in-house with my team, we can do as soon as we get full green light, we go.
The typical condition we impose, not always, on
Mhm.
variance requests, a request of this type is start construction within 1 year and complete it within 2 years. It sounds like that wouldn't be an issue.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Then I would add that condition as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Compliance with the documents, October 13th.
Right.
And I would do the drawing and this. This had a lot of construction information in it as well, this item.
Yep.
And then the conditions are, make sure we understand those. Substantial conformance with the documents. Easement for the parking area on 2 separate parcels shall be recorded.
Seems reasonable.
Reciprocal easement shall be provided for future cross-access to the property to the south and west as identified on the site plan.
In other words, bringing all parcels under, into one unit that can
Yeah.
work together.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
We've got that. Second? We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Thank you. Again, paperwork. Early next week. Yep. Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. You're welcome.
Good night.
Please make sure you keep your paperwork on the short-term rental.
Whoa. You would not.
Here we go. Okay, can you go back up to the top? as their other message to ensure privacy. Well, I just.
Yeah, just in the area
Yep.
properties.
No, after.
Yeah, after variance,
After variance, yeah.
period, and then we'll leave the rest.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, with respect to case 22, I move that we approve and journalize our decision.
Second motion.
We've got a motion to approve and journal our decision. Would you, any other discussion, a second, please call. Any other discussion?
No.
Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin, Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Nye.
Aye.
Let's leave it on.
He's special.
If he remembers the journal, it's fine too.
This is good.
Here, remove up and put it right there. Say again?
I have a question about the property. The 6898 Hunley, looks like the house up on the hill has that address.
I believe they both have the address.
Should we just put the two parcels? I think just the two parcels. Yeah. Because that would actually be confusing. Right. Otherwise, it's somebody could do a property search on the 6898 Hunley, and it's like, wait. What's going on here? So I think just the two parcels, it's 6898.
Take it off the top and then the bottom.
It is 500 036 0040. After 3, yes, 0. After 6 is 0. And then it's 0, 0, 0.
Same thing with the 4 line, you need to.
Yeah.
Place on the partial.
Mm-hmm. I'm giving you a hard time, guys. We need to step up our game.
Jeff was all over, calling through to come next week.
Copy and paste up here from the. So, copy, here, I'll take it.
Hey,
So typically, it's phrased a little differently because there's one request. So since there's 3 requests, this is how the formatting would have come out to be consistent, in my opinion.
Do we normally put in things like this parking lot will not be located in the same property as construction of current leases for management town, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Typically, we take it
Seems
from,
like more than we normally do. I could be wrong. I don't know.
it's typically taken from the staff summary, like
Okay.
pretty closely. So that's more or less what happened. But we can remove it if you'd like.
Scroll down.
Oh, it's gonna be more conditional use.
And it would be the variance, it's not,
Not be contrary to public health, interest and safety, take out to grant conditional use. Not contrary to public health, interest and safety.
and then you say the variance, the next line could be substantial. I think it is.
We're not talking about variance, we're talking about conditional use.
Well, no, I know. No, under the general considerations.
That's a variance consideration.
It's a
All right,
variance.
hold on, I'm confused. First one, 212 D2B, that's variance, or is that conditional use?
Correct. It's missing the additional special use certificate. So it should say determines that the special use zoning certificate, the variance and conditional use would not be contrary. So it's just missing a few.
I see. The general considerations in Article 212 D2B are for the variance.
Correct. That should read better, and then it should break down
Wait,
by each one.
Top one, the variance request, take out request and take out A. Take the variance, the special use certificate, and the conditional use. So I have there, read that up.
Say again?
Go 2 words to the right, take out the A.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, and
Yep.
then put another comma after certificate.
Does that read better for you?
Doesn't it?
I think so.
I think so.
Good.
All right, variances are not substantial.
I think they are substantial. I would say something like, well, why don't we variances could be substantial? I mean, you go from 100 foot to 4 foot on the back, that's
substantial.
substantial.
That's true, the variance is substantial even though the imposition from the neighboring properties. That's right. So,
While
just strike the entire first sentence.
Yeah.
Good with everything on that page. All right, here's a question. Should there be a second S, roots after the apostrophe?
No.
Why not? Native roots is one thing. Even though it is an S, it's a one thing. You're making it
That's what I was
possessive.
gonna say. Rootses.
You're adding an apostrophe S because you're making it possessive.
What is it?
Yeah, we want to make it possessive, we gotta add an apostrophe S. If it were a plural thing, you just add an apostrophe. But it's not a plural thing, it
So native roots, because it ends with an S. 'Cause
I'm
it-
confident I can call this.
well, you can refer to the site plan for the name of the company. So it's native
Right,
roots.
the name of the company, it's a singular company.
Correct.
Even though it ends in S, it's a singular company.
Correct.
So how do you take a singular thing and make it possessive? You add
An apostrophe,
apostrophe S.
or an apostrophe.
But
Or
because,
if it ends in T, you don't just add an apostrophe. It does, the rules have changed just because you add an S.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't.
It does.
Only it's plural.
My grade school grammar tells me it does.
Only if it's plural.
Mr. Nye, I was homeschooled, and even I am aware that there's no S at the end.
You were homeschooled wrong. I'm telling you, like,
Well, my other public educated friends here.
Do I hear a
so
motion?
you get it.
I move that we submit this to some English teacher at Anderson or Turpin for review before we journalize it.
Well,
Is there a second for that?
Move that we silence Mr. Nye for the rest of the meeting.
yes, turn off that microphone.
We got a second.
all right, you guys are wrong, I'll drop it.
Chris, fix the heading.
When the
Yeah.
whole world stops through this litigation over
The headings,
He's got his phone, he can go look it up.
it's not the.
Elements of style. Well, you want to prove it to the others, so you need to provide that evidence.
I got struck in white on my shelf. I'll be there, we'll bring it
Okay,
next month.
well,
Next week.
Chat GPT says,
Oh, no.
and I said, should you add an S to a form of possessive after a singular noun? It says yes, in most cases, you should add an apostrophe S to a form of possessive after a singular noun. For example, the dog's bone varies by the company's profits. However, there are exceptions, such as when the noun ends with an S. In such cases, you can either add an apostrophe and another S, or just an apostrophe, depending on style preferences.
Oh,
Charles
no, we'll accept your,
ChatGPT says yes.
ChatGPT is garbage, and that's British English.
we'll accept your apology, Jeff.
It says for depending on style preferences.
And
It could be Charles's book. Yes.
yeah, that's how you say it in America. We are.
Somebody's gonna watch this.
Did you guys have English?
Is this the first?
Any recommendations on the resolution?
Use ChatGPT?
Where are we right now?
You're back up, you're back up, back up.
Somebody on YouTube tonight is going to do all sorts of posts about this.
Just saying, I have.
Do it, do it,
Oh, my, I feel so wrong.
do it, do it.
Roots and saying as are generally considered acceptable. The usage can vary based on style, guide, and personal preference.
Well, we got four,
We're both right, and I prefer without the second.
well, we have four personal preferences here and one here. Let's vote. Okay, let's
Got a
keep rolling
quorum.
here. We had a 40-minute meeting, now it's going to last for 2 hours.
The Associated Press tablet uses only the S.
I don't know why I am the way I am.
Well,
You're an attorney, and so am I.
Yeah.
So it makes it difficult.
it shows.
You get paid to argue, so it's.
I've recommended that we change the language to the current location of,
The current business on the property.
so you guys are lawyers, I'm the avoider.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Plain
No, let's just leave it like it
Where are we?
is. We got a whole month for Jeff to stew about this.
He's gonna come back with his drunken white next month. Or next week at his.
Remind me if I.
See, that second paragraph, that last sentence, the expansion of native roots. We didn't say native roots expansion.
Yeah, you could say the current location of the roots right
Yep,
at the top.
yep,
Right.
and just totally avoid it. Okay,
I don't know what he likes.
But it was an interesting conversation.
Something for the record
Okay,
books,
now-
if
now
you're the
you've
first
got-
BZA to
you've
use
got
ChatGPT
spirit
in
intent.
the hearing.
The proposed use and development does not comply. Yes, but because of location, topography, and layout.
This is concerning parking.
Okay, so we gotta get staff believes. Okay, where it says staff believes that the addition, just take out staff believes that.
Agreed.
Yep, yep, the addition of the project would not affect the spirit intent, okay.
I mean, the first sentence, we just say, proposed use of development
Complies with the spirit. Yeah. Okay, then down at the bottom of that one paragraph, a recorded easement is required.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so consistent with adopted township plans, you say that it complies with it, and then state what it says. So do we have to state what it says, or can we just say that it complies?
Suggesting striking everything after.
Well, yeah. Hold on.
If this was a case where there was subject to a challenge, I always like to see, to be able to point to the resolution of the board consider the fact that it complied with certain review. And you can go to the record, obviously, but
You're recommending we leave it in?
I think,
Fine.
I'd rather see that. This,
Fine.
it does show the comp plan.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. Yep. Complies?
Just complies.
Does complies?
And if you propose use of development plan, or around.
Where's that, where's that?
The first sentence, the proposed use of development comply with.
Oh, comply. Yes, thank you. I'm good. Everybody good?
Just feeling, consistent with that paragraph, it's a period. Yeah, right. We should take out staff believes this condition will be substantial.
Yep. Just staff believes that. Other way. There you go.
Time started at 1.
Mr. Chair, with respect to case 23, I move that we approve and journalize our decision.
Second the motion.
We got a motion to approve and journal. We have a second. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Sion?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Gentlemen, thank you. Anything else to come before the board? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.
Right, all I'm saying is, if both styles are acceptable, we should aspire to the better style. That's all I'm saying.
This proper style manual, agree with you, the accessory press style manual. Sorry. No, that's yeah, all right.
You want to reduce yourself to relying on the Associated Press and matters of style?
Gary, you gonna be here next month?
I assume that I probably will be in line.
How many of you are there?
There's one of you.
There's one of you, you need to have an apostrophe.
So Chris's is?
Chris's, yes.
Chris's.
Chris's pencil. You wouldn't say Chris pencil, would you?
Well.
No, you wouldn't.
But saying it's
Call it your way of life.
No, saying it's spelled is different.